and gentlemen, we are the members of the Group 8. I'm Lexan Daman Abunata, together with my members Simon John Addison Hagonia and Dale Gadwin Escotten, and we will be discussing to you the different unique characteristics of the Biome Tundra as well as its biodiversity. Before we go on different unique characteristics and features of the Biome Tundra, we will be discussing first what is tundra. So tundra comes from the Finnish word tunturi, which means treeless plain. So as we go on with our discussion, we'll be noticing that in this area, in this biome, there is a less presence of trees. Next, tundra is also considered as the coldest biomes of all the biomes, and it is noted for its frost-molded landscapes, extreme low temperatures. It also has a low precipitation, poor nutrients, and short growing seasons. So for the Arctic tundra, it surrounds the Arctic Circle, and it has the presence of the frozen water bodies, the permafrost. It has a sparse vegetation and limited biodiversity. Then for Antarctic, which the Antarctic is the coldest tundra of all the tundras, it is located on the edges of the Antarctica, and it consists of sparse vegetation with permafrost and icy conditions prevailing. So the third or the last type of tundra is the alpine. So the alpine tundra occurs in high mountain ranges or regions worldwide, and it is characterized by rocky terrain, cold temperatures, and thin soil supporting hardy plant species. Now we'll be discussing the different features of the biome tundra, and that include the climate, topography, and this biome. So first, let's focus on the climate. So climate refers to weather conditions prevailing in an area over a long period of time. And for the Arctic tundra, it has an average winter temperature of negative 34 degrees Celsius. And for the summer temperature, it has 3 to 12 degrees Celsius. And when it comes to its precipitation, it has 15 to 25 centimeters, including the melting snow. And for the growing season, it ranges from 50 to 60 days. And now let's proceed to the second type of tundra, which is the Antarctic tundra. So that the winter temperature or the annual winter temperature in Antarctic tundra is less than 0 degrees Celsius, or it basically ranges from negative 40 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius. And for its summer average monthly temperature, it's ranges from negative 10 degrees Celsius and to 10 degrees Celsius. And for its precipitation, it has low precipitation in the form of snows. Next, the last type of tundra, which is the alpine tundra. So the alpine tundra, it has a winter average temperature below negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit, or in Celsius, it is equivalent to negative 34.4 degrees Celsius. And for the average temperature, it has 37 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, or it is equivalent to 2.8 to 15.6 degrees Celsius in Celsius. And for its annual precipitation, it has 6 to 10 inches, and the growing season of the alpine tundra is approximately 180 days. So the topography refers to any physical features of the surface of the earth. And for the Arctic tundra, there is a presence of the lakes, ponds, and rivers, and that is because of the permafrost. So because of the permafrost, if there is a presence of permafrost, there will be also the presence of these water bodies. And for the second tundra, which is the Antarctic tundra, as I mentioned earlier, the Antarctic tundra is the coldest, a presence of glaciers. When we say glaciers, these are the masses of snow. And the last tundra is the alpine tundra. So its physical features includes high mountain summits, slopes, and ridges, and also, there will be the presence of the glacier features and the rocky terrains.
One of the main features of the tundra is its elevation. So Arctic tundra is found at high latitude, circling around North Pole. It covers about 20% of Earth's surface, and it is located in regions such as Alaska, northern Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Scandinavia, and northern Russia. The Arctic tundra is found at low elevations, typically at sea level to a few hundred meters above sea level. Next is the Antarctic tundra. Antarctic tundra is very similar, closely similar to Arctic tundra, but it is on the opposite side, which is located in the southern hemisphere around the South Pole. Due to the extreme cold and dry conditions, there are very similar little land area that can support tundra vegetation, which is mostly covered in ice sheets. So lastly, the alpine tundra is found in the high elevation on mountains around the world, above the tree line where conditions are too cold and harsh for trees to grow. So alpine tundra can be found on mountain peaks as low as 2,000 meters and above sea level, but most common elevation above 3,000 meters. So first, composition of tundra substrate, which is the glacial deposit, which is also considered as a primary substrate in tundra ecosystem. So it just consists of rock fragments and sediments left behind by retreating glaciers around the world. So for the next composition of the tundra substrate, which is the organic matter, So it includes decomposing plant and animal material contribute to the substrate, particularly in areas with bugs and peat soils. So one of the tundra substrate, which is the permafrost or the permanently frozen ground. So it is a defining feature of tundra soils that remain or at least or below 0 degrees Celsius for at least 2 consecutive years. Let's move on to the soil composition of tundra. So for the chrysols, it is a mineral soils that has an active layer that thaws seasonally above the ground. It is a regular broken soil horizon due to cryoturbation. Gelisols, it is defined by the presence of permafrost within 2 meters of the surface. It is divided into 3 suborders, which is the histels, turbels, and the orthels.
So first, let us discuss the floras in the Tundra region. So the soil in the Tundra region is largely permafrost, meaning the soil remains frozen year-round, leaving only a thin surface layer of thawed soil in summer for plant roots to grow in. So mosses and lichens are some of the most common plants in the Tundra region. They can survive in the thin soil, and they also play an important role in the ecosystem by stabilizing the soil and providing habitat for other organisms. So for the grasses and sedges, some grasses and sedges can be found in Tundra regions, though they are typically low-growing and adapted to the cold climate. So ang umalan ng species kay the red grass or the species of Calamagrostis, and the cotton grasses from the species of Eriophorum. So for the dominant organisms found in shrubs, low-growing shrubs like willows and dwarf birches are common, and they are often found in sheltered areas or in places where snow accumulates, providing them with some protection from the elements. So some species that are dominant in this region is the Arctic willow and also the dwarf birch. Herbs and wildflowers. So the flowers bloom during the short summer growing season, which occurs during late June to early August. They are typically small and hardy, able to withstand the cold temperatures and short growing season. Some of the dominant species include the purple saxifrage and the Arctic bell. So moving on to the dominant fauna organisms found in the region of tundras. The invertebrates. Despite the harsh conditions, various invertebrates play crucial roles in ecosystem processes. Arctic mosquitoes are one of the dominant species found in this region, and despite their small size, mosquitoes can be abundant in tundra regions during the short summer months, and they serve as a food source for many birds and other insects. Another species is the Arctic bumblebees. These hardy bumblebees are important pollinators in tundra ecosystems. They have adapted to the cold climate and are essential for the reproduction of many tundra plants. The amphibians, reptiles, and fishes. Reptiles, as cold-blooded animals, do not thrive well in extremely cold environmental conditions and therefore are scarce in tundra regions. And the amphibians, like the reptiles, are also cold-blooded and are absent from the tundra biomes due to their inability to survive the extreme cold and limited water availability. Fishes, also cold-blooded, although not abundant, include species like Arctic char, grayling, and salmon, adapted to the unique conditions of tundra ecosystems. The aves. The birds usually visit their region to breed, usually in the summer, and in the winter, they fly south from the Arctic to relatively warmer places. So one of the dominant species is the willow ptarmigan, and another is the snowy owl. Moving on to the mammals. The mammals living in the tundra are adaptive in various ways. So one species that are dominant in the tundra region is the polar bears, and another is the Arctic hares. Fungi. While tundra regions are not as rich in fungal diversity as compared to warmer ecosystems, there are still several fungi species na makita gyapon diri nga environments. So one of which is the coprophilous fungi. Another species is the snow mold fungi.
For the first adaptation, which is developing a thick fur, many tundra animals like polar bear, caribou, muskox, and including Arctic birds have developed thick insulating fur or feathers to retain body heat in extreme cold. So for the next adaptation, which is the camouflage, so tundra animals like Arctic foxes and hares have white or light-colored fur that helps them blend into the snowy landscape and hide from predators. So for the third adaptation, which is the migration and the hibernation, so some tundra animals like Arctic ground squirrels hibernate, which allows these animals to slow their metabolism and live off stored fat, conserving energy when food is scarce. For the next special adaptation, which is the low-growing compacted plants, tundra plants like the Arctic willow, cotton grass, and lichens grow close to the ground and have small compact structures to reduce heat loss and withstand the strong winds.
For the environmental concerns, so first, the climate change. So in the climate change, basically there is an increase of temperature. So warming temperatures slow the permafrost, allowing tundra plants to invade. Next problem is the availability of resources. So there is a limitation of the resources here, such as the sunlight, water, and the nutrients and the food here because of its extreme conditions. Next is the low biodiversity. So the biome has low biodiversity. Why? because only specialized organisms can thrive here in this area, which results in lower species diversity compared to others. So the last major problem that the Biome Tundra encountered is the pollution. So it was found out that large reserves of oil, natural gas, diamond, and other minerals have been found beneath the tundra. Because of these activities, human activities that can result to pollution, it can destroy the habitats and the area of the organisms where they live.